We are then forced to see how then we engage with the county assembly for approvals to ensure we work in that space.
Again, to what extent is political interference has influenced the implementation of county projects, road projects? You are getting me now?
County projects.
Yes.
There are chances where political leadership or politicians have influenced projects within specific the county to see how then the work within the specific wards, they are not equitably distributed to cater for all the wards in the county, and seeing how best then we can work with them to ensure that the issues around equitable distribution of resources, especially road projects, are done in line with the not only the PFM Act, but also ensuring public participation as enshrined in the Constitution to cater for all the roads that are required to be done in the county.
Now, if approved by this committee, how will you be handling situations where the politicians come to you for doing some road projects, okay? Not in the budget, but they want you to implement as a CEC. How will you be handling such situations? Not budget for, but they want you for implementation purposes.
We shall, as much as possible, engage in consultation, see how best we can engage with resources available, support such initiatives if they are genuine. But we have the opportunity of working with unforeseen circumstances where we have situations where there are emergencies in certain wards or roads. It was not budgeted for, but a situation has happened. We could create a mechanism through the emergency fund to see how we do this, and then we support such cases on a case-by-case basis.
It's okay, Honorable Joseph Nyongesa.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Ponfenchu, I know Bungoma County has got almost 9 constituencies, 45 wards. But during the campaigns, His Excellency the Governor was really on road network, especially in rural areas. Now we are having 45 wards here. You as a CEC member, maybe you may be approved to be a CEC member. When may be given priority, which ward will you start from? And basing on what?
Thank you. I understand at the moment we don't have an inventory or status report of our county roads in the county. One of the first things, if approved by this House, is to ensure that we undertake a status report and an inventory of all the county roads in the county to ensure that we then see which one are in dire need, because the others which have been left behind for so many years and other counties wards have been prioritized. How then can we ensure that we improve such and also undertake those ones that are in need within the same budget period or the same quarter?
Yes, number 2 is Honorable Muhongo.
Thank you, Chair. This is Ponivenja, Mr. Ponivenja.
Yes.
I have almost 3 questions.
Thank you.
The first one, you said you stay in Nairobi, but you always come back home. I think you have passed, on your way coming this side, you have passed on a road.
Yes.
From Kandui. This is a national government function, and the county government of Bungoma, in the previous regime, they gave it priority to have that tour carriage complete. You have seen the status. There is no budget provision for the completion. What will you do for it to be completed? Just take note. Okay. The second question. I think you were in Kandui. You saw how the stages are congested. And even here in Bungoma, or when you came from Cheptais, you saw how Chwele looks like. What measures will you put in place, particularly to enhance security? Let me say order in the transport sector. Because we have the border borders, we have the heavy vehicles and whatever. Secondly, we have SACCOs where we have been getting revenue from them. And you know, these circles are funny. You will find they give a register of 10 vehicles and yet they have 50. What measures will you put in place for us as a county to enhance the revenue collection from that sector? Finally, you are going to head, if you will be approved by this Honorable House, a very unique department. There are some terms being used in that department, like Bill 1. How do you understand about it? There is something in the name of retention. What is it? And at what stage will you pay the retention? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, you can be able to answer those questions from the Honorable James Barasa before we proceed again.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for those good questions. One, the first one on the Kandui Road, that's the dual carriage. I am aware about how it came on board, that not being a function of the county government. But now we find ourselves in this position. We need to see how then we move with speed to complete the same road. I'm aware about earlier conversations between His Excellency the Governor with the people from the Kenya National Highways Authority in Nairobi, and there's been a recommendation of having a discussion with the Western Region Kenya team in Kakamega. What I will do is, first of all, get a status report on the completion of the road. I'm aware that there are already variations which were done on the same road, which goes beyond the 25% requisite threshold. I'm also aware about the quality of the works. Going through the road, you'll see even the gauge of the AC, the manholes are exposed, the roundabouts, and even the street lighting is missing. So we shall then sit down with my team to see how we come up with a status report, present it before the Assembly, to then determine how best we can unlock that impasse, both within the county but also through the national government. On the stages, bus parks and the bus parks, I agree, I concur. There's also a lot of disorder, both from Kandui all the way to Musikoma. There are issues around tuk-tuks, border borders, and even our own matatus, through also the long-haul carriage trailers going towards Malaba. One is to work closely with our the traffic department, the National Police, to see how then we can work together to create order within that department, especially enforcement of traffic rules and the Traffic Act. Secondly, to ensure that, if possible, through collaboration and support from the County Assembly, to create dry ports or stages for some of these long-haul trucks so that they don't park within Kandui, because it's not only a threat but safety issue with our people. Thirdly, to see how through the County Transport Act, I'm not sure about its regulations and policy therein, we see how then we can come up with mechanisms to create certain bus parks and stages within the town, all the way from Musikoma. We can do one in Kandui, and see how then we manage those matatus that come from Webuye, that side of Kibabi, where they can pick and drop passengers. But also be very careful, we look at how then we support our residents to access some of these, the hospitals, because if you drop somebody in Kandui, how do they come up to Bungoma Referral Hospital and many other things. So working collectively with our national government and also within the executive and the county assembly to address some of those issues. SACCOS is a very good mechanism to manage transport, but also safety and security. We shall ensure we come up with a SACCO policy that all matatus are registered within SACCOS. Those ones that are not clearly registered will be impounded or not allowed to operate within our roads. But also very importantly, to ensure that whenever these SACCOs operate, whenever they break the law or whenever they do some of these issues that happen or drop and pick passengers and not designated bus stops, we shall be able to work with our enforcement officers and the police to ensure that this is not allowed to go unabated. I know there are many things around the roads department. There are many stories I've heard. It's not a very clear picture, a very good picture. We shall then see how we institutionalize or manage some of these things. Bill 1 that you mentioned, These are resources that are provided for the project management, the various projects that are there in the county, both in terms of support to mobility, supervision, and inspection. How then do we support our staff to ensure that this is done adequately? We shall see how we manage through the Office of the Chief Officer, centralize some of these works so that we get the Bill 1 to support project implementation as effective as possible, not to benefit a few individuals as much as possible. On the retention, under the contracting, there's usually 10% retention of the works, just to guard against issues that dilapidated roads within a very short time, to help us reduce some of those things. I know for this Maram road is around 6 months, but for those AC type of road, usually around 1 year. To ensure that we open a special account to keep some of these resources, to help us manage or work on some of these roads which are get spoiled within a very short time, maybe due to shoddy work by the contractor or poor supervision of some of these roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable George Makari.
Thank you, Chair. Chengek.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, who is your counterpart nominee for education here in Bungoma County?
Thank you. He's by the name somebody, Vitalis. I haven't gotten the actual name, but I'll need to look at the records. I know there are 10. No, there are 9. One is yet to be nominated, but he was, in fact, the first person to appear before the assembly today.
Chengek, listen to the question.
Yes.
Who is your counterpart nominee for education? I know there are 9.
Yes.
The 10th one has not come in. Your counterpart nominee for education in Bungoma County.
I haven't checked out the full names. Sorry for that. I don't have the full name.
Okay, your counterpart nominee at the national level for the same position as yours.
For roads. It's called Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen.
And the PS?
The PS for roads and transport, they were recently nominated. I'll have to check. I really don't know. Yeah.
Who is the governor for Meru?
Kawira Mwangaza, Honorable Kawira Mwangaza.
Good. Now, you have a net worth of 91 million.
Yes.
Can you give us a, can you walk us through this from 1 million to 91?
Thank you. I had the breakdown somewhere. So, yeah, thank you. I started it at 91 million Kenyan shillings. One, I have 3 vehicles worth 17 million. I have a premise in Eldoret, rental houses worth 18 million Kenyan shillings. I have a home in Cheptais with a farm, roughly around 12 million Kenyan shillings. I own a tractor, roughly 4.6 million at the current market rate. I have invested in some money markets, around 10 million Kenyan shillings. I also have a vacant plot in Eldoret, worth around 10 million Kenyan shillings, and some cash of around 4.5 million Kenyan shillings.
I want to mean, how are you able to build this? You're still young. You're even younger than us.
Yes.
We don't even have such amount of money, some of us. How are you able to build this? From which sources? I mean, let me put it.
Thank you. I have, if you look at my CV, I've worked for the last 15 years, mostly coming through salaries, farming, but also I got some loans here and there that helped me construct and build the net worth that I have. But if you notice also, some of them are rural homes. The farm I have at home, which is an inheritance, and some of them I bought through loans when I was through which I acquired through KCB and NCBA.
All right. Before I just come to my substantive question, also, a nominee for roads in a county is considered a very lucrative appointment.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I concur.
Is that yes or no?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
In a certain county in Kenya, the CEC for roads was able to add on his pockets, on his trouser, more pockets to carry money. Are you getting the gist of what I'm putting across?
Yes, yes.
Why was he able to add more pockets on his trouser? For carrying lots of money, because they were full. In the courts, they were full. In the normal pockets, they were full. So he had to create more pockets on his trouser so that he could carry money around in funerals and whatever. What do you think were the sources of this money? Because if it's a normal salary, you cannot be able to add on your trouser more pockets. And if you are given this chance, are you also going to add more pockets on your, on your trousers?
Can I go? Thank you. Thank you through the chair.
Yes, proceed, Bonaventure.
Yes, I'm not aware about such an individual or from which county, but I don't think through the work that I've done through my core values and ethics, I'll allow myself to be in such a position to undertake such initiatives or activities. Not only does it speak about the integrity of such an individual, but also the professionalism and how they carry themselves. And secondly, I can't do such a thing, and I don't think I'll require more pockets because the salaries I'll receive from the county government will be sufficient for me to take care of my bills and my family.
Okay, somebody works in your office, you are just about to award a contract of 300 million. Somebody comes in your office with 30 million Kenya shillings in a briefcase. Chengek, in your right mind, will you tell him to walk out with 30 million in a briefcase?
Yes, I will do so.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Okay.
Yes.
Now back to my question, Chengek. If your nomination is approved, you will inherit a department that has a number of pending bills owed to contractors and other service providers by the previous regime. Note the word pending bills owed to contractors by the previous regime. I will repeat, Chengek. If your nomination is approved, you will inherit a department that has a number of pending bills owed to contractors and other service providers by the previous regime. What approach will you consider in honoring these outstanding obligations without interfering with the current regime's priorities?
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I'm aware that in the roads department we have a huge pending bill, both from the dual carriage, but also from the ward projects and all the county projects. Some of these pending bills are necessitated by so many other things. One could be incomplete roads, shoddy work where certificates are not raised, a delay in payments, but also, most importantly, there are cases continuing at ASCC about some of these works. What we shall do is, through the support of the County Assembly, you saw the report that came out yesterday from the task force. Some of the roads, 6 roads have similar photos, which is a damning indictment on our work in terms of inspection and supervision. We see how then we do a forensic audit on all pending bills, the status before we initiate any payment. The projects that are genuine and completed and certificates are raised, we shall aptly process some of these pending bills to ensure we support our contractors and Kenyans who are engaged in this work. But those ones that are shoddy and complete, here there are also ghost projects within the department. Those ones which have using the multiple photos like those ones, we shall present this report to the Assembly for us to have a way forward on how best we can not only move with speed to take necessary legal actions against both staff within the department and contractors, but also blacklist some of these individuals so that they don't ever work in our county again.
You are aware about the roads that were paid for, but they were not done?
No. I've given an example of the task force report where there are one road has 6 roads has the same photo, which means these works were not done. They were used. That photo is used for the same work.
But they were paid.
They are part of the pending bills.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I was
Chair,
answering.
back to you.
George, so I'll go back to Honorable Mohongo for your rejoinder before I can be able to go back to...
You know, Chair, after listening very carefully from the nominee, I'm wondering, because there is a culture in this count of ours. Some contractors only come with the goons in your office.
With?
With the goons in your office.
Yes.
And force you to pay. If you don't pay, you will face it. In such a scenario, how will you handle them? Secondly, some of these contracts are of senior citizens. How will you handle it?
Thank you. I haven't experienced this, but if there are elements around goons and people using force and intimidation tactics and blackmail, which will be there to pay some of these works, I believe there's a way we can work collectively with the county assembly and the county executive, also in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior through the police, to ensure that this does not happen or doesn't take place within our department. We shall as much as possible ensure that we work to ensure safety and security for our staff, because not only myself but also staff members will be forced to make or support or develop certificates for such and done works. We shall collectively work with the police to ensure that such is brought to order, but also support from the county assembly to ensure that this does not take place in the department.
It's okay. I'll go back to Honorable Grace Undukwa.
Thank you, Chair. You have a publication in your name, Water for Peace and Stability, analysis of the contribution of our water project to conflict transformation among warring communities in Kenya. Why do you believe the Department of Road, Transport and Infrastructure and Public Work is an ideal docket for you and not environment, water, tourism and natural resources?
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I wrote that paper in an IGAD forum, keeping in mind I had worked with the USAID program to implement a water project in Mount Elgon, Kopsiro Division. We then came up with a paper to present such findings and success of such projects. I believe the governor, in his wisdom, thought it best I being the nominee for roads and public works and transport, and not water, environment. He then nominated me for that position. So I believe he thought it's best that I fit in that position to deliver his mandate and manifesto.
Excuse me.
So, Honorable Stephen.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The nominee has just mentioned about issues of pending bills and the works that are done. And now, if given this position, if you are confirmed CEC roads, public works and infrastructure, we have some areas that roads were not finished. But the chief officer then and the CECM went ahead and paid the contractors. Given that government money was spent, and those are not all-weather roads, the graded roads, either marramed or something like that, but not done well. Culverts not done. Now, as you take over your office, what do you think you will do to give the people, the areas concerned, to get justice and value for the money? Then number two, having worked and explored the world and Kenya, you gave us your referees. That's number 31 on your questionnaire.
Yes.
What do you think that reflects of you when you look at that number 31 about referees? List the 3 persons who are not your relatives, who are familiar with your character, qualification, and work. And you've written in that manner, the way it is. What can you say about it?
Thank you. Yes. Again, I'm not aware about such roads that were paid and are not incomplete. I'll look at some of those reports, working very closely with the staff in the department, also with the county assembly, to look at, once we do that forensic audit of the pending bills, to then look at what were those roads that were paid, either shoddy or incomplete, or even ghost projects, as we mentioned earlier, to then see how, if you look at the PFM Act, these people can be surcharged due to their negligence and the work that they did in terms of supervision and inspection and supporting such payments. We shall work with the county assembly very closely to ensure that this is actualized and legal process is taken against individuals who participated in such crimes or acts. That's one. I know also of roads where if it's 8 meters or 16 meters, graveling or marraming is done in 4 meters or less. Still, that is not right in terms of how we are supposed to do. That also speaks to our credibility around inspection and supervision of roads. We shall see how then we move with speed to ensure that we, such culprits either weeded out or legal action is taken against them. When it comes to the referees, I listed them as such because one of the documents that I then attached within my documents that I submitted was my CV, which clearly indicated the names and positions and contact details, emails, addresses, and where they work, which then we can then do a reference and call or check on them aptly for follow-up.
Mr. Chemakate, I agree with you, but it's just nice to make sure that we now refer.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Honorable Stephen. I'll go to Honorable Muhonga again. Say number 6. Yes, before I go to Vitalis. Vitalis, you take it up before I come back to Muhongo.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chemakite. One, I would like you to tell this panel the role of CCM, of roads, transport, and infrastructure and public works. 2, which policies and programs do you intend to bring into operation when your nomination is approved by this county assembly?
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I understand the roles for the CC. Yes, this now the roads department. One of them issues around the implementation of legislation and policies, both from the county government, but those ones which are necessary from the national government. Another one is formulate policy, which will then help us implement various programs within the department. Answer questions whenever summoned within the county assembly, present the department in the cabinet and in the county assembly progress reports of works done within the roads department, advise the government on matters roads, water, matters roads, infrastructure, public works and transport, and fire, which is within the same department, and attend cabinet or meetings and supports the government, the governor in implementing his or her must manifesto. Yes, on the second question, there are many programs which we can then come up, policies and legislations or regulations. I know of the County Transport Act. We see how we finalize on issues around policy and regulation. I'm not aware if we have the County Fire and Rescue Bill, which we then see how I bring that on board effectively. The issues around the grievances within the department, how then do we come up with a policy to address grievances and conflict? There are aspects around the management of our machinery and transport. How then do we cluster that to ensure that it's well done to avoid issues around wastage, breakage, and issues around maintenance of the same? There are also, I can come up with a policy around HIV and within the same department, and how, because it's something which is usually factored within the bill of quantities in the roads department whenever we undertake some of these works across the county. So those are some of the policies or bills that can come up for us to move, and also the issue around the bus park. How do we create some of these bus parks to ensure that we decongest the towns and ensure that parking is done aptly, and come up with designated parking bus stops to ensure to reduce on decongestion.
So, okay, thank you. I'll have Honorable Joseph Chongesa.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Seneca, you prepare.
Chair, my issue is just on the issue of the pending bills, where Mr. Ponfes told us that he will do the forensic audit before paying. And Honorable Chair, our roads are normally marrowned. And as you know, the effect of rains, some were done in January. So how will you ascertain that, maybe before you pay?
Yes, thank you through the chair. I understand, yes, especially the ward projects and some of them through the roads maintenance levy fund and the county empowerment funds. Some of those are marams. Some were done last year. I'm aware of pending bills lasting 3 years. Again, through the support of the county assembly and through the forensic audit, there are already existing reports, I'm aware, of contestation on some of those shoddy work done. We shall see how we quickly and amicably resolve some of those issues. If they can't be resolved, we shall come back to the county assembly to help us see how we amicably resolve some of those pending bills. If it's something that can be justified, we shall proceed to pay. But if it's something which is outstanding, we shall seek support to not incur such costs.
Honorable Seneca.
We've talked about the pending bills. We are aware that most contracts concerning roads were done by staff in the roads department. They are still there, and we are planning to do an audit or a forensic audit. We have only removed 2 people, the CEC and the chief officer. How sure are you that they will give you the right information? And yet you are using the same people who have been doing these contracts. Unless maybe use other means. And lastly, we had a program called MTF, whatever that one means, I don't know. but this program helped us to open up the rural areas, because each ward was located 5 kilometers of opening. That's dosing, graveling, maraming. I don't know if you can also come up with a similar project and maybe extend it to 10 kilometers for each ward. Maybe you can just think about it. Once we confirm you, you can help us, because His Excellency promised that he wants to open up the rural areas. And that's the only way we can help open up this.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You could pay people take up those ones first before we add you more questions. Bonaventure.
Thank you. Through the chair, thanks for those questions. One on the Brigadier Naitiri Misiku Road. Again, almost finding ourselves in the same position as the dual carriage. That was a Kera road, a mandate of the national government, but we decided then we shall undertake such. I know there were conversations initially. Even last month, the governor had a conversation with the national government on how we complete this road. The MOU that was signed between the contractor, or the national government, the county government, was not adhered in this case. The contractor, by the name Midlands Contractors, who is supposed to do that road, was given that work for 41 kilometers. But from the MOU, the national government then went ahead to re-advertise for 20 kilometers, which a Chinese contractor, I'm aware, is there and currently doing that work. These same individuals had mobilized labor for 41 kilometers, machinery for 41 kilometers. We need to see how we unlock that impasse to ensure that we pay him or the contractor for the works done for a certain period, and through the support of the county assembly, allocate resources to be able to then complete those sections that are then charged for the county government, because the Kera one is currently ongoing. So it's just how then we come on a sitting table with the contractor and the support through budget allocation to ensure that we complete that road. I know it's one of the roads that the governor said he was going to see how that is completed. Same to the dual carriage, as mentioned earlier, conversations with Kena to ensure we see how we complete that roads, but again, through the support of the county assembly, to see how we allocate resources for us to complete this road as scheduled. Staff doing contracts, I'm not aware as per now, but this is from good information. We shall see how then we proceed with speed through the support of the executive and the county assembly. We work out on a mechanism, come up with a task force to then, which is outside the membership of the staffing department, to ensure that we go through this thoroughly, because if we can't use the same staff who are doing the same business with us within the department to continue with the same. That's conflict of interest, and it's very bad. If found, we shall see how we surcharge, take disciplinary action, and if possible, legal action against such officers. The MTF program, I know it was something, machinery transfer, something which was done by the national government, that then gave us machinery, graders, and what have you, to help us do those kilometers within the various wards. It's something which it was mismanaged in one way or another, and this has not taken root. We shall see possibilities of reviving or bringing up such programs, working closely with the national government. We are privileged to have one of our legislators, through Kimilili, who is a vice chair of roads, and also Kipchumba Murkomen to take this forward. But also very importantly, our graders, all of them are grounded, 5 of them. So routine maintenance does not happen. One of the priorities going forward is to ensure that how then do we work with the county assembly for allocation, whether through supplementary or otherwise budget, to ensure that this is taken up. We revive our graders, but possible going forward, if we could get support to buy graders for each sub-county, it will really help us open up some of those roads and maintain them accordingly. Thank you.
Before I allow Honorable Joseph come in to ask, I think, a rejoinder. No many before.
Just a comment, it's not maybe a question. Just a comment.
Yes, Honorable Joseph.
You know, Honorable Speaker, what Mheshimiwa Senaka said about the issue of maybe our staffs doing the contracts, our nominee should take it so seriously, because you know Honorable Senator goes at the center of that government, so he knows. You should look for him for more information. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, what I was going to add on that nominee, if approved by this committee, take the sentiment of Representative very seriously. He was basically a deputy of that regime. So it's not just a joker that he's saying from the side shows. Take him seriously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, that he was part of that government, a deep state. So, Honorable Mtiembu, you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is that even if we talk how much there is always a delay from the Department of Public Works in preparation of the bills of quantities, hence causing delays in advertisement of projects to be undertaken by contractors. What plans do you have to ensure this becomes an issue of the past if your nomination is approved by the County Assembly?
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I'm aware that there have been delays in uptake of project and effectiveness in implementation because of some of such of delays. What I'll do going forward is to create designated teams, specialized teams to develop bill of quantities in time. Whenever we received approved budgets, we should proceed and go as fast as possible to ensure we develop bill of quantities, because the more we delay, the more it goes to the next quarter, which then affects implementation. Bill of quantities in terms of costing of materials and human resources is very key, but most importantly is time. When you cost time, because we come from an area where it rains most of the time. So and there are always changes in prices, there's inflation and what have you. So if a bill of quantity is delayed and a contract was awarded in, let's say, for example, here in July, the prices of fuel has changed. Most of the things is inflation. So you'll find cases of understated bill of quantities, then the cases of variations and what have you. So going forward, working with my technical team to ensure that bill of quantities are prepared on time and effectively to support tendering processes and also effective execution of projects.
Thank you. I'll have Chemion before I come back to Honorable Mohongo.
Thank you, Chair. I have one question for the nominee. You have worked as a platform manager with the responsibility of overseeing all aspects of donor funds. You have managed budgets. You have been doing sourcing for potential donors and stakeholders. What have you done for the residents of Bungoma in your capacity as a platform manager in terms of donor linkages? Is there something you have done for Bungoma County?
Yes. When I started doing some of this work, through the infrastructure projects, especially the water program and the hospital support rehabilitation, I ensured through USAID that resources were channeled to the full gospel hospital in Kopsiro, Kipsigon, which was then renovated, and we successfully handed it over to the county government by the then 2013. Also, through the same program, I also initiated and lobbied for resources which were brought to Kipsigon, to Kopsiro, which did the two main lines of Kumurio to Chebuk Center, and also the main water tank at Banantega, which served that area of Chepkukuru all the way down to Chelebe. I've also supported or ensured that some of our civil society within Bungoma County are beneficiaries of some of these programs. We have an organization called REDO from Mayanja, which received funding to do civic work and issues around security. There's the Anglican Churches of Kenya, SCC Western Kenya, which received work to also support women and youth in some of the livelihood work that they're able to do in this space. In the recent concluded elections, working with the National Democratic Institute, we're able to support the training of agents and elections officers in Bungoma County.
Thank you. I once worked under you at Kapsokwony. You were my DRO by then. And I know you...
Are you declaring some conflict on the Chemion?
No conflict at all.
It's okay.
Because that time, I was a PO. I was a PO of a polling station, and he was my DRO. And I did it very well that time.
We don't know.
I'm reporting. I'm reporting because I was...
No, let's go to the issues at hand, please.
Yeah, I'm just on the issues.
That site shows, please.
We must know the nominee.
That site shows.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Stick to the issue at hand.
We have issues of inequality in terms of sharing of resources. That was a major problem, and it is still a major problem. We have areas that are underdeveloped in this county. We have regions. There are regions which you must be knowing as we speak in this county that has a very big problem with the infrastructure. What plan do you have for those regions?
Thank you, Honorable Chemion, through the chair. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we need to do a thorough inventory and a status report on all county roads within the county. I'm also aware there were early accusations of some wards being favored of, which should not take precedence in the current government or department. We shall then prioritize areas which are highly marginalized to see how we open up some of those roads and some of those places that needs access to public utilities, schools, and whatever. So we shall come up with an affirmative action plan to ensure that some of these areas are catered for and supported adequately going forward.
Yes, Honorable
Chair, I have...
James Barasa.
Thank you, Chair. I have a last question, of which I want to hear from my brother, Bonivenja. Bonivenja, in some few days, we have had disaster management, schools being panned. If this House will approve you, how preparedness will you assist this county of Bungoma in regard with the emergency response? Because we have the vehicle, we have the staff, but sometimes when there is an incident somewhere, they take too long for them to respond. What measures will you be putting in place?
Thank you. Through the chair, yes. Yes, the issues around disasters, with the recent one in Teremi, where took place, a fire engulfed a dormitory. The Department of Fire, first of all, is domiciled under my ministry. And we'll see how I know there are two other vehicles which are grounded. One is active, but as you all agree, it's not viable or even responsive enough to have it situated, stationed here and serve the whole county. You can imagine a fire happening in Tongaren, by the time it goes there, it already have been done. Through the county assembly, we shall then, through the budget, to see how resources can be allocated for us to acquire more engines, for us then to distribute them across the wards. Even if county, even if we have only 3, we can have one situated in Kimilili, one in Webuye, and one here in Kandui for quick response in some of these things that really affect our county. But also, we shall have a toll-free number which will be displayed in all public places, utilities, schools, and amenities for them then to respond quickly and aptly whenever such things then take place within the county.
Thank you. Norman, I think up to that level, we have two rejoined us, Honorable Honorable Joseph Nyongesa.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one, Chair. Actually, we are having our factories, especially this one in Zoya, the other one is in Tongoren. I know they normally pay cess, but the tractors are doing more harm on our roads. So I don't know which initiatives will you come up with so that at least we ensure that our roads are safe from those factories, tractors.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes,
Honorable
Honorable Stephen Omalwa.
Before I ask my question, because I've not, maybe just to also make a rejoinder, or based on what the Honorable
Yes, please proceed.
said, is that in this respect of what he said about tractors of companies, like in Tongaren, we have a factory set up there called a branch of West Kenya sugar mills, called Naitiri Sugar Mills. And they are giving the county 4 million every month in terms of cess. The money is supposed to maintain roads in those areas as a nominee for this, and if you are given that portfolio, position, how are you going to address that issue in relation to the maintenance of roads? Because basically it's not done the way it should be. So can you maybe say something about that also?
So you ask the second part of it,
now,
so that as he answers them, they are done all together once.
Now, to my question, Chemaket, your CV details are almost nil, relevant academic and work experience, and is contrary to section 35, subsection 3D of the County Governments Act 2012. Regarding relevant skills and knowledge to the portfolio of the department where you are seeking mandate in the role of CEC, how do you intend to match your skills into practice as you discharge your duties and assist His Excellency the Governor to realize the elements outlined in his manifesto under the Roads, Transport, Infrastructure, Public Works docket?
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I'll first respond to the one by Honorable Nyongesa. Yes, there are these companies, West Sugar, Zoya, and the rest, who then have been using some of this heavy machinery and tractors on our roads and providing support to, they give some funds to the county through the roads department to maintain some of those roads. If it has not been used or utilized appropriately, this will be the thing of the past. Because why should we use county roads, resources allocated by the county assembly to do the same roads which the resources are then provided for by some of these companies? We shall know this is streamlined and done accordingly going forward. Part of the report that we shall present to the Assembly, if approved by this Assembly, is on some of those issues, because it also comes into the issues around pending bills and also issues around where roads which are done by Kera or West Sugar are then done by county roads, and there's duplication in accounting. So those are some of the things we shall ensure it's streamlined. On the issue around the CV and my experience and work done, yes, I concur. But if you take precedence from the national government, Kipchumba Murkomen was...
Forget about the issue of national government.
Yes.
Talk about your problems
here. Yes. If you come to the county, I think we probably need to see how...
You know something very funny? At the national government, a CS2, for you to qualify to be even be given that job, it's just a path certificate only. Nothing else. There's no qualification for you to be a CS in Kenya. Just being normal and of sound mind. But as they are saying, you must have a degree with the relevant experience, relevant field.
Yes.
So be able to answer that question accordingly.
Yes. So probably we needed to look at it from a different perspective. First I say I concur, then we need to look at it from a different perspective. One, I'm not conflicted. Maybe we have been engaging engineers in that department as the leadership, both as a CC and chief officer. People who already have associates have been working in that sector. Maybe they are contractors of friends or families who then start doing business with government. Probably me, I come in as a new person. I don't do contracts. I'm not a contractor. I'm not an engineer. So I'll not be conflicted in any way in terms of delivering the work that we do. Probably we needed someone who looks from the outside in, instead of somebody who has been within that same space, who then engages in some of these things that we have seen in the recent past.
Honorable James Barasa Mhongo.
Honorable Chair, I just only wanted to make a comment on the issue of cess. You know, I happened to be a councillor by then, before the new constitution. And those days, we had a separate account, manning for cess monies, from coffee, from sugarcane, from tobacco, and whatever we were getting from those proceeds were directly channeled to the areas where we have those crops. But currently, what we receive from the cess, it is also taken to the county revenue account. I don't know what measures will you put in place, and yet again we have a cess committee. I think there is a law we passed in this honorable house. You need to check on it so that we streamline the operation of the cess funds, so that we don't have so many complaints. Finally, you know, you are being appointed by His Excellency the Governor, nominated by His Excellency the Governor, that is Lusaka. When you come from Skata, after crossing now the Tuo carriage, you come past by the mortuary. There is a stretch in between here. And that road was done by Honorable Governor. In your opinion, how many days will you take to complete that road? Because it was initiated by the governor who has appointed you.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, yes, I concur on the issue around cess. Keep coming back to the same question where we receive resources from West Sugar and Zoya and whatever, if we can have a special account created, but also in line with the law that was created around the cess, to ensure that these resources are designated for a specific vote head, which then goes towards doing specific works in those regions which produce some of this sugar, plantations, coffee, and what have you. So that one will be done aptly. When it comes to that road where mentioned, I know it was a road that was undertaken by the Governor Lusaka in his first regime. Once we sit down and review our report, after the status report of all inventory of all roads in the county, we shall see how we prioritize some of those roads that help us unlock or ease movement within Bungoma town.
It's okay. Now, in our new standing orders, there is a provision that you'll be summoned by this house or invited to come and answer queries. In the experience we've had from this house, I had a chance of vetting your former colleague that left the office, with Honorable Nyongesa, Honorable Vitalis, Honorable Chemion. When they were before us, they were angels or saints. After they approved, they became rogue animals who could not be able to come before us to answer queries that we are asking, that the money, how money was spent. If we give you this chance as our CECM for roads, if summoned by this same house that is going to approve you, if you are going to be lucky enough, because there's no guarantee, would you be able to come before this house to answer queries in your department?
Yes, it's one of my responsibility, but also very critically, as you say, that is something that the governor himself has told us to ensure we work very closely in consultation with the county assembly. So I'll honor all summons to come before the house to answer questions or queries as required.
Concerning the department?
Yes.
So I think we are done up to that level. Wish you all the best. As you can pray for your luck, if possible, because we are not guaranteeing anybody to be approved by this house. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come before the house, and I pray that I'll be approved by the assembly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.